which if you guys are interested in that, then we can definitely give you some more information. And I also worked on labs like the robotics lab and the embedded systems lab. So this slide is kind of just like an overview of my high school experience and what I've done so far in college. So in high school, I took a lot of AP courses, which that's one tip I have for you guys. If you have the opportunity to take any AP courses or advanced level classes, that's really going to help you out in the future, whether it's like getting credit for that in college or just going into college with knowledge about these classes that you'll be taking. It'll make it a lot easier. And then how I kind of found out about ET was through an engineering, architecture, and design program that I was in. So basically, it's a 2-year program during your junior and senior year of high school where you kind of explore all the different types of engineering that are available. And through in this program, I did a lot of these labs as a student. And then also in high school, I was, I don't know if you guys know about Habitat for Humanity, but there's like a section of it called the Fuller Center for Housing. And I was a co-leader for that club. So we got to basically build houses, which was really cool. Not like from start to finish, but work on the building process of houses that are meant for low income families. And then other things that I was involved in were the National Honor Society, the Spanish National Honor Society. I played varsity soccer all 4 years, and then I was the team manager for the varsity basketball team. And then once I got to University of Miami, I decided to pursue a minor in Spanish kind of within the first few months because at Miami, there's this thing called Foot Fellow Program, which basically, if you have a scholarship, there's certain classes that are like common core classes that you don't have to take. So you have a lot more freedom in your schedule. So to kind of like fill up that time and those credit requirements, I picked up a Spanish minor. And then the main thing that I'm involved in right now at school is I'm the treasurer for the American Society of Civil Engineers, which is it's a professional organization, but we have a student chapter, which has been a lot of work, but it's a lot of rewarding work. And what we're working on right now is building a concrete canoe from start to finish. It's like a about 20-foot canoe. We have to do the mix design. We have to, cast the mold. We have to wait for it to dry. We have to test it and all those things. So kind of seeing like that design process has been really cool. And then other organizations that I'm involved in are the National Society of Black Engineers, Engineers Without Borders, and then the NAACP. And then I just have a couple pictures on this slide. So in the top left corner, these are just kind of things that I did in high school. The very first photo is it was on a site tour of a building in New York City. And then the second photo that says houseboat plan, that was a project that I did for my senior independent project. And then moving like towards the right, there's a picture of me working at the Fuller Center. And then the last picture on the top is a picture of my friend Ava in high school. And this was in that engineering and architecture program. And we were doing one of the engineering tomorrow labs. It's the 3D printing lab for medical applications. So that's us building the hand that we had. And then on the bottom side, this is college stuff. So on the left, those are two photos from an American Society of Civil Engineers banquet that I had the opportunity to attend because I'm part of the club and I'm on the e-board. So that was really cool, networking with a lot of professional engineers in the area. And then the third photo on the bottom is the tent that we build to house our canoe. And then the last photo is just a picture from one of the classes that I'm in. It's called Structural Lab. And basically we get to break a lot of materials and see kind of how they behave under different loads. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll turn it over to Grace.
Yeah, so hi, my name's Grace. I'm a junior at Notre Dame studying chemical engineering with a minor in engineering corporate practice. So that minor is kind of like a combination between like engineering and business and just understanding how engineers work in different companies and how those two fields really interact with each other. Within engineering, I'm really interested in renewable energy or like along with that, low carbon solutions. And with Engineering Tomorrow, I'm a college mentor, but also like Brianna this past summer, I was a summer intern. So I helped develop the green hydrogen lab along with a few others. So that was like a really fun experience for me. And then starting in high school, so I didn't really know what engineering was when I was in high school. I knew that I was really interested in science and math. I took a lot of like AP science and math classes. And I would also say that that really helps. That really helps you get set up for college and also kind of determine if you have an interest in things like this. But I was more so involved in like swimming and like other different mentoring programs within my high school. So I didn't really explore engineering at all until I got to Notre Dame. which is where I took like my first ever engineering class, my first semester freshman year. And I started to understand that like it's not just chemistry and math, but it's really problem solving and working with teams and logically thinking through problems in a different way than I had before. So that's where I really began to enjoy engineering, was once I kind of found out what it was, once I started to do it. And then since I've been at Notre Dame, I've studied abroad in London over a summer through the College of Engineering. I'm very involved on campus in like different leadership things. So I'm in Engineering Leadership Council, SWE, which are like two different engineering things. But then outside of that, I'm still in like club swimming, and I'm the vice president of my dorm, which how it works in Notre Dame is your dorms are very similar to like Greek life, like sorority fraternities. And so I'm responsible for like different charity events and formals, and we have brother sister dorms. So that's been a really fun role this year to be very in charge of that. And then my plans for next summer is I just accepted a job to work at BP, and I accepted it because it went along with a lot of my interest in energy. They have a huge focus on achieving net zero by 2050. So for me, that was like really important to work for an energy company that was very committed to renewable energy and committed to like the clean cause. And then here's just some pictures. So on the top left, I have some pictures from high school. So the first two are different whiteboards I would do. I just thought this was like cool to see. This is how I always did my homework in high school, especially during COVID, was I found in a lot of STEM classes, I would really erase my sheet too many times where I'd start ripping holes in it. So I started doing all my physics problems on whiteboards so that I could really easily erase it. And I still do stuff like this now. I like do it on a tablet now, so I like can still really easily erase it. But I thought it was just like a nice visual to see like this is a method how I studied in high school, and I still carry over like the whiteboard method here a lot of the times when I'm studying. And then there's also a picture of me swimming, since that was like the main thing I did in high school. So I feel like with that one, I just kind of want to show that like you don't have to necessarily know you want to do engineering and do everything engineering related in high school. You can be really involved outside of that and still be really successful in it. Then those top right two pictures are from my first engineering class. So we did a lot of 3D printing and designing in CAD in it. So the first design I made was my individual project, and it was an AirTag case. And then the second one was a valve that I designed with a whole team. And that was like an almost like semester long project. So it was really like the first project I had of that sort of nature. Then the bottom right picture is the dorm I stayed at in London. I thought it was just like a really cool building. It's actually like an old women and children's hospital. So if anybody's interested about that, definitely ask questions. It was definitely an interesting time. And then the bottom left pictures are just kind of pictures I have from now. So the first one is a picture of me and some of my friends in lab. Since definitely with chemical engineering, you spend a lot of time in different chemistry labs. And then the second one is the 5K we put on for my dorm every single year to raise money for breast cancer. And then the next one is me sitting in office hours, just to show like I spend a lot of time in office hours. It's definitely like one of the most useful resources I've found here on campus to really help you like learn outside of the classroom and really learn in depth the different concepts you're supposed to be learning. And then that next one is just a picture of one of the charts I use. One of the biggest things I didn't know about chemical engineering is how many charts and graphs and things like that you're going to learn how to read. And I just didn't realize that going in. So I thought it was interesting to see one of the super complex charts that I've been using.
So I will stop sharing my screen, and I don't see any questions in the chat right now. But again, if you guys want to unmute yourselves, or if the teacher you want to kind of facilitate the question asking and type them in the chat, we have about 20 minutes to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Well, I'm going to hop in and ask a question for you ladies. I think you guys did speak about your high school experience, but I know that one of you did say you didn't have Grace said you didn't have this experience with STEM in high school with engineering. What do you recommend for these students who are getting exposed to engineering? If they're interested in this, what should they be doing this year right now that they can do to continue that interest and explore engineering while in high school?
Yeah, for sure. For me, like the biggest thing was just taking a lot of STEM classes. That's why I really like knew that I was interested in it. If I could go back, like I think being able to do labs like this and like seeking out different projects, kind of like the ones Brianna was doing, those would be like such great experiences. And the last thing I'll say is if you know that you're really interested in this, I would start looking into the different programs you can apply into in college if that's the path you want to go down. I know, like for me, one of the big decisions on choosing Notre Dame was because their chemical engineering program. It's not just chemical engineering, but it's also biomolecular engineering. And at the time when I was in high school, I thought I really wanted to do something in pharmaceuticals. And so that like biomolecular side really spoke to me. So just kind of learning what different programs entail. I know like there's other schools where their programs are more like energy focused or materials focused for chemical engineering. So just kind of looking into what your interests are and looking into different programs and seeing what different schools have to offer. I think if you like the earlier you start that, the better, just to start getting a better sense of what different schools offer.
And even if like I took a lot of like I did a lot of the labs in high school, but I didn't know exactly what type of engineering I wanted to do until like when I was applying to colleges. So I feel like if even if you have kind of an idea, but like Grace was saying, just do a little bit of research. If you guys have ever done one of our like normal Q&A wrap-up sessions, there's like a slide that talks about all the different organizations that are available for each like subsection of engineering. So if you guys can find one of those slides and just kind of do a little bit of research on those organizations and what they entail, that could also help you kind of narrow down your interests. And also, if you're not interested in pursuing engineering, there's going to be those organizations for every single major and every single interest that you have, pretty much. So just do a little bit of research on that.
I see we have a question, which is just what advice would you give to somebody who's pursuing a goal of being an aerospace engineer and dealing with space related assignments? I know like if you know you have like a big interest in it, kind of like what I was saying with different schools will offer like an aerospace engineering major. Like not all schools might offer it. Mechanical engineering is really similar to it typically. But I know like there are specific programs for doing aerospace engineering. So definitely like looking into that and making sure you're picking the right school for your interest and making sure that it offers that sort of program. I like know like I have a bunch of friends who are aerospace engineers, and there's also like they're doing research on internships, and there's definitely a lot of different options with it, a lot of different companies to go to. So I would say like right now, just kind of start exploring your options within the field, thinking about what places would you live, like what companies would you work for, and like what sort of like classes would you maybe be taking, and maybe starting to gear like your high school classes. Like I would take like physics and calculus because I know that those are like two really important classes for aerospace engineering. So just sort of like researching what aerospace engineers really like need to know, what they need to do, like, and what sort of schools would really support that.
We also do, ET offers a space lab. So if you are interested in kind of learning like the basics through that, you're more than welcome to sign up for it. And I know a lot of the times when I've done those, like the space lab wrap ups, I think it's Keegan, one of our engineers. He works at NASA and always talks about how NASA has a ton of internships for high school students, not just college students. So you can definitely look into that as well if you're kind of interested in, okay, I have a little bit of free time in my schedule, or I want to spend a summer really trying to narrow down whether this is something I'm really interested in or what aspects of aerospace engineering you're really interested in. So definitely look into that. And then kind of on the same topic of internships, Jen asked, did you have an internship in high school? And what is the best way to go about finding internship opportunities? So I personally didn't have an internship in high school. I did like your typical, high school age jobs. I worked at a restaurant, I worked at an ice cream shop, which were super helpful in terms of like networking skills and just getting to talk and interact with people, which is going to be helpful for finding internships in the future. But I think now the most helpful resources that I use are LinkedIn. Is super helpful. You can, create a LinkedIn now, even if you don't have anything on it really. Just kind of like make those connections, be friends with people so you can see what they're doing. There's a lot of different opportunities there. And then I think this is going to be kind of common across all colleges, but at Miami, we have this thing called the Topple Career Center, and they have a website that basically companies will post job opportunities specifically for like students. And obviously you can filter those opportunities based upon your major, but it's specifically for like, so sorry, Grace, but if you wanted to go on to the thing, you wouldn't be able to get those jobs. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be pretty common across all colleges. But Grace, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say I also didn't have an internship. I know like there are a number of them out there. I was a lifeguard in high school, very typical job, definitely learned a lot of people skills from it. But I would say the biggest thing for me actually was, so my dad was a chemical engineer. I had a lot of cousins who are chemical engineers. So if I was ever just curious about hearing what my dad does on a day to day, I would just sit down and ask him. I would be like, what if I were to do this degree, what job would I get right out of college? And what job, do you have now? And what's kind of the progression that people can go down? And even like I would talk to family friends who like were like my dad's coworkers that I knew that did this, and just like really asking any resource you have what they're doing. It can only help. I mean, it just gives you more information and more knowledge of what you're getting into. So that was like the biggest resource for me. I'm seeing somebody asked if like chemical engineering overlaps with other fields. Definitely yes. Especially with computer science. I've had to take 2 coding classes so far. They've actually been like 2 of my favorite classes. I debated for a little bit switching to computer science because of it. There's definitely like a lot of like my class last semester was how to do chemical engineering problems in Python. So there's that overlap a lot too. I also know somebody who's working for a computer chip company next summer as a chemical engineer, because there is like a lot of chemistry in the materials involved in making computer chips. So there's that. And then even like I have to take materials, which like we learn all about like concrete and different like materials that you can use to make like buildings, bridges, all that, which would be like the overlap with civil. There's like just anything you can think of that uses materials, chemical engineering kind of has a toe in, because you have to understand the chemical composition of these different materials. So there is definitely so much overlap between chemical engineering and like all the other disciplines.
Yeah, it's the same here. Like I have to take chemistry next semester, which I don't know if I'm too excited about, but and I think it'll be interesting. I'm not the best at chemistry. But something we kind of just wanted to talk about is that if you guys are kind of interested in like teamwork and you like bouncing off ideas of with your fellow students, kind of like how you're doing in these labs, engineering is very, very team oriented, and pretty much any project that you're gonna do, unless it's like one of those like smaller projects that you'll do probably during your freshman year, everything is going to be teamwork. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind if you are interested, or if you're kind of thinking like, oh, maybe you don't like working in teams, then maybe engineering isn't the field for you. So that's just something to keep in mind. Does anybody else have any questions?
I was going to hop in there and talk about that teamwork aspect and working with other peoples. How important are these soft skills? Because we're talking about STEM and math and science, but aren't the other disciplines really important to engineers as well?
Yes, definitely super important. I think like one of the biggest things for me that really showed me this was my like first engineering class that I took freshman year. Our very first assignment was just sending an email to our professor using like a specific format, because she said like you have to learn how to send emails that have good grammar and really get your point across concisely, and we're going to learn how to write a proper email. And like at the time I was like, this is the silliest assignment I've ever had to do. This is literally writing an email. I feel like I've done this so many times. But I think that like a lot of my professors really stress you have to have these soft skills. And especially like I also thought, okay, I'm doing an engineering degree, I'm never going to have to write an essay again. And but I've like learned like writing is so important in engineering, especially like you just have to make sure that you're getting your point across in the correct way and you're saying things as accurately as possible in writing and making sure that people understand what you're saying. Because if I'm going to tell somebody like, okay, I want you to build this exact way, and my point doesn't come across right, then that's going to be like really catastrophic. And also, I mean, I've had to do so much writing since I've been here. I'm in a lab right now where we have 10-page lab reports like every third week. So I have like 3 10-page essays just for a lab. So there's definitely a lot of soft skills that you do develop during your time in engineering.
And similar to Grace, I never thought I'd have to write an essay again, but again, I have a lab where it's every week we had about like an 8-page lab report. So don't think that you're going to get away from writing if you pursue engineering. So just kind of have like, try to have like a good understanding of like each of the different soft skills and disciplines, because it's all going to kind of come together and you're going to eventually have to use it. So I see Constance asks, what organizational skills do you use in college versus what you used in high school? And I like this question a lot because one thing I like to tell students when we do these wrap up sessions is if you can learn if you can learn the way you learn best in high school and what helps you stay organized and what helps you stay on track, and finding a calendar in high school, it's going to help you a lot in college. And I did not have that. I came into college, I had never used Google Calendar before. I had never used Outlook Calendar. I just kind of was like, okay, I know I have this due, and I'm going to do it when I need to. But in college, with the amount of assignments that you're going to have, and just the not even just assignments, like activities, you're going to definitely need some sort of calendar, or even if it's a physical planner or something like that. And then in terms of like organizational skills, like this is going to be kind of self-explanatory, but like just keep your papers organized, keep your notebooks organized. Like I see some people in my classes and they have like one notebook for everything. I'm like, how are you doing this right now? So just kind of like staying organized is definitely going to help you. It's going to lead to a lot less stress when it comes to completing your assignments and finding, okay, I learned this topic in physics last year, but it's coming back up this year. Like, where did I put my physics notes from last year? So just like little things like that. And then let's say like you're a visual learner, or that note taking doesn't work for you, or that just reading the textbook doesn't work for you. Try to like find those little things now, so then once you get to college, you can say, okay, like I know I have to go listen to the professor, but it doesn't really benefit me to take notes. I'd rather listen to his explanation and then go back and read the chapter and then take notes and kind of try to understand it like that. So just kind of little things like that is definitely going to help you kind of be more successful in college.
I would say, like, to add on to the organization thing, I've had professors where they like to add in questions from previous exams onto the final. So if you lose those previous exams, you are missing out on like a huge opportunity to learn those questions really well. And that's happened to me before. I've literally like misplaced a test, like it's somewhere at my desk and I can't find it. So like because I've had that happen before, and even this semester I've had professors say like you could see this on the final again, you could see this on the final again, like I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep all those tests super organized, because it can be a really useful tool if you know the questions going into something. I would say too, like I've always been like very organized in terms of like calendars, planners, all of that. And so I think like starting it in high school is super important, but also the way I've organized everything has really shifted over time. Like in high school, it was a lot more useful for me to have a planner and just write everything down in there. And I didn't really keep a calendar because my schedule was like very similar from day to day. But now I am like all about Google Calendar. Like every single event I ever have is in my Google Calendar. And I just keep like a sticky note open on my computer that I write all my assignments down in, and any like to-do list I have. So definitely just like learning how to like be organized, but not necessarily, you like don't have to stick to that method the whole time you're in high school and college. Just learning to do something is just super helpful. So you're like just better able to organize yourself later. Yeah, do we have any other questions for now?
I don't see any other questions, and we have about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to give you guys one final question, and that is, can you just lead this group with some motivation, inspiration for the remainder of the day, and some tips or some advice for their high school days while they pursue their journey onto college or wherever their paths may lead?
I
Yeah,
can kind of, go ahead.
we can start.
Okay. I was just gonna say, like sometimes engineering, and even with these like small projects, like when I was first joining, there was a student working on the lab and she couldn't get the LED to work. Definitely don't give up. I know sometimes it's really easy to say, oh, okay, I can't figure out this issue, and no matter what I try, it's not working. Definitely don't give up. You're gonna figure it out eventually. It might just take a little bit more trial and error, but that's okay, because that's honestly what engineering is, and you learn a lot from your failures, probably more than you do from your successes. So just like have faith in yourself that you will figure out whatever the issue is, and you will be able to solve it. Ask people for help. Never be afraid to ask for help. That's the one thing I really had to learn. I used to be so scared of asking questions in class because I was like, well, I don't understand it, but everybody else might understand it. Never be afraid to ask questions. And then just in terms of high school, like enjoy your time, do a little bit of research. It's it's definitely helpful in high school if you kind of have an idea of where you want to go in the future. You don't have to know, but it is going to be helpful for you. And it doesn't have to be like extensive research, like you don't have to go start working now, but just like little things here and there. If you have, like an hour or two of free time, and you kind of just do a little bit of research, watch some YouTube videos. YouTube videos were super helpful when it came to like, okay, what does a civil engineer actually do in their day-to-day life? So just little things like that are gonna help you, and just like enjoy your time in high school. It's not forever. So yeah.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like it goes by super fast. Enjoy your time. High school goes by fast, but college goes by even faster. I was talking to my dad over Thanksgiving break and I just didn't even realize I was a junior. He was like, "You're more than halfway done. Like, you only have 3 semesters left." I was like, "That's like crazy." I feel like I just moved in at the start of freshman year. So definitely take advantage. Also, if you like decide to go to college, there are so many resources for you out here, and you should really take advantage of the different college resources you have. Like even next semester I'm taking a 1 credit class called tin whistling with my friends, just because it's like a class that's offered, and we're like, we're just going to take advantage of, all the credits we can get, and we're going to take this class together. So just like try to seek out opportunities like that. Like they don't have to be engineering related, they don't have to be like academic related at all. Just take advantage of like everything. It's like such a short time, so you might as well just do everything you can, and but don't stress out too much about it. But still just like try to fit as much as possible in there.
Well, I want to say thank you to Grace and Brianna for leading such a great Q&A session. Thank you for the teachers who got to the keyboards to ask some amazing questions of our mentors. Well, it is that time. We are going to start